BelfrageRadio.com.
Good morning. Welcome to the Great Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. What a speech that Donald Trump gave last night. We'll talk about it. Get your reaction about it over the course of the morning. Okay, here we go.
No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in a no-win scenario.
This is the great.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Wednesday, March 5th, and what an address that was given by the president last night. He addressed both chambers of Congress last night. His speech went on 1 hour and 40 minutes. 1 hour and 40 minutes. That is the longest. This is the longest address that a president has delivered before a joint session of Congress. And then you had, Democrats, at least one who had to be escorted out. Representative Al Green had to be removed from the chamber by House Speaker Mike Johnson, had him removed from the chamber. He was so disruptive. And Democrats were holding up their signs. Although everybody had been told, don't do that. Don't show up with signs. Don't show up with props. Don't do that. Oh, well, of course they did. Because it's like, a bunch of elementary school kids. You tell them not to do it. Well, they got to do it. And we saw lots of that last night. So it was pretty incredible. The president started off and he said, to my fellow citizens, America is back. And then to which there was a lot of applause. The president saying, 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years. And we are just getting started. So, and then there were jeers, as well as cheers throughout the president's speech. The president saying, every single day, we will stand up and we will fight for the country our citizens believe in and for the country people deserve. My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you. God bless you and God bless America, he said. So I mentioned Representative Al Green. This is one of the Fox News is a very good piece on the president's speech. And they're highlighting like the 5 big takeaways, 5 moments from the president's address last night. So one was when Texas Representative Al Green repeatedly shouting during the president's opening remarks. And House Speaker Mike Johnson first admonished him several times to take his seat. He was told, take your seat. And he wouldn't do that. And he was up and he was shouting at President Trump. And so some Democrats, again, had warned about, don't protest Trump during the speech. Former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, said that Democrats should let the president stew in his own juice. But it went on anyway, so Al Green wound up being escorted out. That was a big moment from the speech. Also, the president honored the lives of Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungare, who were both killed by illegal immigrants during the Biden administration. And the president said he was talking to Jocelyn Nungare's mother, Alexis. And the president said, Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter. And earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. And he says, across Galveston Bay, where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you'll find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America, the president said. And the he winds up then naming the refuge after her. And then he also talked about Lincoln Riley. She was 22 years old. She was beaten to death by an illegal immigrant in 2024. She had just gone out to run on the campus of the University of Georgia. So the president then saying Lincoln was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, horrifically murdered. Lincoln was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien. So he signed, as you know, the Lincoln Riley Act into law when he took office. And he said that, the U.S. will never, ever forget our beautiful Lincoln Riley. That was a big moment. Also, the president, during his speech, named the top terrorist suspect behind the Abbey Gate attack in Afghanistan. That's the attack that killed 13 U.S. service members. And the president announced last night that the person they believe who was behind that has been apprehended. And right now, the president said he is on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice. The president went on to thank the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, the president said. And you know about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. That was one of the biggest debacles of the previous administration. And then there's Deji Daniel. He's a 13-year-old boy who survived cancer. And he stole the show last night. By every account that I've seen, he stole the show. And the president said, joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is Deji Daniel. He's 13 years old. He has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, Deji was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. So Daniel received then a majority of the crowd who was up and applauding him, except for Democrats, some who remain seated. He just can't celebrate anything, and that's one of the things Donald Trump talked about. That on the speech, in the speech he touched on that. They just there's nothing that pleases them. So the president went on to tell us that Daniel and his dad, who were there, and his dad held up Daniel and lawmakers cheering, and the president said they were on a quest to make his dream of becoming a police officer come true. So the president said, tonight, DG, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I'm asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So there was some very neat moments. So now this morning there's a lot of even who was it? There was a piece that I had seen earlier this morning, and it's a Democrat who writes at FoxNews.com, and I think I have it somewhere in my stack of stuff, saying that just Trump was on, and this was his moment, and Democrats, by contrast, just look childish, petty, and I don't think many of us are surprised by that. I certainly am not. There was nothing I'm seeing this morning, and I thought about staying up last night. I stayed up till about 7. And then this morning, when I find out that the president spoke for an hour and 40 minutes, I thought, because he started at 8 o'clock Central Time, I thought, I'm really glad that I didn't try to stay up that long. Till 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I'd be toast this morning. So, but it was pretty incredible. The president also said in his speech that Ukraine now prepared to sign off on that rare earth minerals deal, and he wanted this done. I was seeing a report, so the president was saying yesterday he actually wanted it done, and he wanted an apology from Zelensky before the State of the Union speech took the place of the State of the Union, but the president was saying very clearly he wanted an apology from Zelensky before he addressed Congress last night, and he got it. And so the president said that now Ukraine is prepared to sign off on the rare earth minerals deal and continue peace negotiations to end the war with Russia. The president also, and I mentioned this a few moments ago, capturing this terrorist who was behind the attack in Afghanistan that killed 13 Americans. So the president announced that. Democrats started to boo Trump at the beginning of the speech. Representative Al Green had to be kicked out. He was particularly rude during the address. And here's what the president said. And he's right on. And this is what's so sad. I believe this is what's sad. The president said, I look at the Democrats in front of me and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Isn't that a sad commentary on what's going on in our country? Nothing that the president could say. And so the president then moved on and left it behind and left that stand. But that to me has got to be the saddest moment of the speech that the president gave last night. And I'm not saying the president making me sad, because I think the president is absolutely correct. And when he says this, nothing he can say that would make them happy or make them stand or smile or applaud. Yeah, absolutely right. And everybody else watching this speech, outside of bizarro world, the rest of us watching this, and just absolutely incredible what you're seeing. The president urged lawmakers yesterday to beef up funding for border security and to also pay for deportations, construction of the border wall along the U.S. southern border. The president said that we've launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history. I don't think there's, again, how do you debate that? I think that's absolutely true. President saying the cartels are waging a war on America, and it's time for America to wage a war on the cartels, which we are doing. He said this yesterday. He also said he'd send Congress a detailed funding request laying out how to eliminate threats and carry out the deportation. He said Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. And then he urged House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass it so that he can sign it. And he went on. So it is, the president also went on to say that his administration inherited an economic catastrophe. And he said it was the Biden administration that allowed egg prices to get out of control. And he said, among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again. So there are a lot of obstacles in the way of that. So those were comments by the president yesterday. We'll talk. I want to open up the phone lines later this morning, and we'll get your take on the president's speech last night. Front page at the New York Post this morning. Smiling photo of the president at the podium. And the headline says, Trump touts successes in rousing speech to Congress, says best is yet to come. And it says, reborn in the USA. That's the front page of the New York Post. And then they have got a story. They're above the fold, top story this morning. It's about the president's speech to Congress. And they had a number of live updates then throughout the speech in the evening. President's powerful address praised by left and right. And you're seeing that. So this is the president's first address of his second term to Congress. He also talked about social issues, including banning transgender athletes from women's and girls' sports, ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the military. And again, he started the speech by saying, America is back. Okay, you also had then Democrats offering their rebuttal to the president's speech. This is Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan. And she blasted the president's foreign policy agenda. And this is after the president said America is back. The American dream is surging. And so Slotkin said, we all want to end the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump would have lost us the Cold War. And that's the big takeaway from what she said. I mean, that's what's really, she did talk about kitchen table issues like lowering costs, creating union jobs, reshoring supply chains, ensuring a fair tax system. She criticized Trump's tariffs for potentially harming manufacturing and farmers. There is a lot of that, but give me a break. I don't need the Democrats to tell me what Ronald Reagan would have said or what his reaction would have been. And here's the thing that I believe. Ronald Reagan was the right president at the right time. Donald Trump, right president at the right time. The problems that America faces today are not the same as the problems that America faced when Ronald Reagan was president. So saying, oh, thank God Donald Trump wasn't president right now. You're assuming then that Donald Trump's approach to the problem the problems that America faced at that time would be the same as his approach today, which is absurd. So that's the argument she's trying to make, and she's invoking the name of Ronald Reagan. And I have to be honest with you. I don't respond well when Democrats are trying to invoke the name of Ronald Reagan. I mean, that just doesn't work for me. So she gave the Democratic response then to the president's speech last night. And that really is the big story this morning. And we'll talk about it coming up after 7 this morning. We'll open up the phone lines, and I want to get your thoughts on what the president had to say and your reaction to the president's address to a joint session of Congress last night. Thanks for starting your day with us. 6:27, it's cloudy and 21. And this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello, News Talk 1320 107.
Okay, we're off and running. Tires. The Give You More Tire and Automotive Store.
My name is Kathy, and I have enrolled in OsteoStrong. I initially was diagnosed with osteoporosis 20 years ago, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. What I've noticed is that I have progressively gotten stronger.
Go to OsteoStrong Sioux Falls East on Facebook.
Bring concrete outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows, optimizing a beautiful view and light and bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
It's time to stop making excuses. The peace of mind you get after a colonoscopy is worth it. It's the best way to prevent and detect one of the deadliest cancers. In fact, your doctor can remove precancerous polyps during the procedure if necessary. That's right, before it even turns to cancer. No buts about it. Get a colonoscopy at 45 and follow up every 10 years or as recommended by your doctor. Find a location or schedule now at avera.org/colon.
If an emergency happened tomorrow, would you truly be prepared? Most Americans aren't. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness, is offering a special discount on their 3-month emergency food kit. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories daily for 90 days. These aren't typical survival rations. My Patriot Supply provides delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, real meat, fruits, and veggies. Being prepared is a state of mind. Take advantage of this special discount to secure your family's future now. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. If you order by 3 p.m., your order will ship within the same day.
I got to get that coffee going in the morning. Forgive me.
That's mypatriotsupply.com.
I do love my coffee.
Mypatriotsupply.com.
Are you a creative thinker with a passion for radio? We're looking for a part-time producer to join the Greg Belfrage Show team. I'll rely on you to screen phone calls and help me get the best out of our callers. Candidates need some digital skills. This is a 25-hour-a-week part-time position. Send your resume to kellojobs@mwcradio.com or mail it to KELO AM, 500 South Phillips Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota 5. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. We'll check in with him here in moments. Fox News is next. Cloudy and 21 at Kello.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. Addressing Congress, President Trump says he's done more in his first 43 days back in office than most get done in 4 or 8 years.
It turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Yeah,
Speaking
yeah.
specifically about dropping illegal immigration, he announced the capture of Mohammed Sharifullah, accused of planning the 2021 Kabul, Afghanistan airport bombing.
And he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice.
Texas House Democrat Al Green was escorted out for heckling. Others turned their backs and left, or interjected, or held up signs. The official response from Michigan House Democrat Alyssa Slotkin.
America wants change, but there's a responsible way to make change and a reckless way.
The president's speech last night, nearly 100 minutes, including the interruptions, the longest ever on record to a joint session of Congress, about 11 minutes longer than President Clinton's address in 2000. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The bill that Summit Carbon Solutions has dubbed the Kill Shot Bill heads to the governor's desk. The South Dakota Senate has passed House Bill 1052 on a 23-12 vote, the latest in a years-long battle over Summit's carbon capture pipeline project. Summit is planning to build 2,500 miles of pipeline across eastern South Dakota, a plan many landowners oppose. Senator Mark Lapka, the co-sponsor of the measure, pushed back on claims that it would stop the project and rather lead to more even-handed negotiations.
This is not a kill shot. This is not a ban. This is simply a requirement that good negotiations in good faith are going to have to take place between a willing buyer and a willing seller.
If signed by the governor, carbon capture companies would be banned from using eminent domain to build on private land in South Dakota. A spokesperson for Governor Larry Roden said the governor will contemplate signing the measure over the next several days. The Senate Judiciary Committee will soon deliberate on a bill dealing with the rights of librarians. The bill would make it illegal for librarians in South Dakota to allow minors to check out inappropriate books. It would remove the affirmative defense for librarians, museums, and schools. The bill will be heard by the committee tomorrow. It's already passed the House. South Dakota has won Site Selection Magazine's 2024 Governor's Cup. This marks the second consecutive year that South Dakota has been awarded this prestigious honor for having the most economic development projects per capita in the nation. Site Selection is the premier publication for economic development in the U.S., widely used by businesses looking to relocate or expand in a new state or community. And in sports, the Twins and the Braves played to a scoreless draw in spring training yesterday. The Timberwolves beat the 76ers 126-112, but the Skyforce lost to the Vipers 124-119. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Yeah.
Partly cloudy skies today, high temperature at 35 with a northwest wind 20 to 40. Very blustery this morning, but decreasing as we head through the afternoon. Forecast low tonight, 18 with a light wind. And then tomorrow, we're back to the mid-40s. We'll be tracking some rain and snow just to our south in the forecast. That's your weather update from the Storm Center at Kettleland TV. I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
The radio station you're listening to now is Kello. Our addresses are AM 1320, FM 105.1, and worldwide at Kello.com.
Social media is the Earth's repository of believers in every conspiracy, including the theory Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone. Well, with Trump's release of all the Kennedy assassination documents, that turned out to be true. Still, one's belief in multiple conspiracies can be very harmful to themselves and those around them. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the free CFO's Guide to Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. Beside the grassy knoll theory and flat earthers, the most prevalent conspiracy theory is that all banks, media, and government are controlled by a single cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles, even though QAnon has all but disappeared. Back in the real world, volumes of research prove that those who glam onto the big conspiracies have a very dark worldview. They're more spiteful, threatened, and undervalued. And once they fall down that social media rabbit hole, good luck getting them out. Join 650,000 people who get my free newsletter every single day. Sign up at getkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter. Are you a creative thinker with a passion for radio? We're looking for a part-time producer to join the Greg Belfrage Show team. I'll rely on you to screen phone calls and help me get the best out of our callers. Candidates need some digital skills. This is a 25-hour-a-week part-time position. Send your resume to kellojobs@mwcradio.com or mail it to KELO AM, 500 South Phillips Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota 57104. Midwest Communications is an equal opportunity employer by choice.
See why Window World of Sioux Falls doors and windows are right for you. Not only do they raise home value and curb appeal, they cut costs with energy-efficient construction made in the USA with a best-in-class warranty. Upgrade your home now. Call 605-373-1100.
The Sioux Falls Housing and Redevelopment Commission and their nonprofit partner, Affordable Housing Solutions, are empowering people, building futures. They connect you with safe, affordable housing programs, work with community partners to improve living situations, and develop housing options in our communities.
Your joints are your connection points, and when they hurt, they stop you from moving freely. That's why at Sanford Health, our board-certified orthopedics and sports medicine experts are ready to help you safely restore your movement and relieve your pain with same-day joint replacement surgery options. These minimally invasive surgeries come with less risk and allow you to have a comfortable recovery.
Steve, yeah.
You don't need a referral to get started.
Wish they would do these speeches earlier. Yeah. Again, I was up until 7. I was going to stay up and watch it. And by 10 after 7, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make it. So I kissed Katie goodnight, went to bed. And when I learned that he spoke for an hour and 40 minutes, I was glad I didn't try to stay up. Steve, no comment to your last question. Your last comment. Yeah, no comment.
Retinal detachment or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
I have enough aggravation in my life. I don't need any more.
Entertaining talk. News when it happens.
That's what you'll always get on Kello Radio, and you can even get...
Okay, here we go, boys and girls.
Stories, podcasts, and more.
6:39, cloudy skies, and 20 currently at Kello. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belk's News Gallery.
Now, these are the stories that are trending this morning, and as you might imagine, the president's speech last night, his first presidential report to Congress, is leading the pack. The president saying America is back. Our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again, he said. So his remarks were themed the renewal of the American dream. And he talked about last year's election win. And then you had Representative Al Green having to be ejected from the chamber because he would not stop interrupting the president and just down there shouting. And the president said, again, this is the comment that he made that just really stands out to me. And it is an unfortunate commentary on what's going on in our country right now. And he said, I look at the Democrats in front of me and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? I would, what's their answer to that question that the president asked them last night? So you also had then the Democratic response by Senator Alyssa Slotkin, and she suggested that President Ronald Reagan would be appalled by Trump's approach to Russia's war against Ukraine. And she said, after the spectacle that just took place in the Oval Office last week, Reagan must be rolling in his grave, she said. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump would have lost us the Cold War. So she was speaking from Michigan, and she framed her speech as a pitch for responsible governing over reckless leadership. I think, well, we'll talk about it in more detail. There may be a point to be made that some of the cuts to the federal workforce have gone a little bit too far. You know, there are those who are, and I'm a little, you know, I understand that. I think those things are being corrected when they discover them and find them, but it's refreshing. It is so refreshing to see this kind of approach, rather than more government, bigger government, more government. So President Trump, during his address, talked about receiving a letter from the president of Ukraine. This is Mr. Zelensky. The president said, the letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. And the president said the letter was important. I appreciate that he sent this letter. I just got it a little while ago. Zelensky's letter also was an overture to the president trying to salvage the relationship between the United States and you know that, seriously, you had to know this was going to happen, right? You had to know after Zelensky had his tough guy moment and leaves the White House, and Trump says, fine, this minerals deal, everything, we're not going to sign it. In fact, we're going to stop sending money to Ukraine. Boom, here comes Zelensky with his hat in his hand. You know, you had to know that was coming, right? Again, if I see this stuff, I always believe you've got to see it. If I'm seeing it, I know you see it. Just absolutely incredible. President also yesterday calling for all federal funding to be revoked for colleges and universities that allow illegal protests. And he said on True Social, all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. So it's not clear if the president, how he may cut off the funding, whether he would do it via executive order or whether he's going to work through Congress. But the president clearly warning. And those warnings will go unheeded. I mean, they won't pay any attention. It's like the Democrats didn't last night. It's just absolutely incredible. I find myself just, where does that thinking come from? Why is it that people are so rooted in that? I don't know if it's hatred. I don't know what it is that inspires that kind of thing. I am at a lack to be able to explain it to you. And here's another example. You have got the tariffs now against Canada, and the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford is his name. He's threatening to cut off electricity as well as nickel exports to the United States in response to the tariffs. So he was speaking at a press conference following his re-election. Ford said, "If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do anything, include cutting off their energy, with a smile on my face." Is anybody trying to annihilate Canada? Or are we trying to come to an agreement that's going to be more workable? And I don't know if you watch Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I listened to this the other day, and I have to tell you, I absolutely laughed out loud. And I had one of those moments. I wound up watching this also yesterday. Katie and I, she was on YouTube, and I said, would you pull that up? Can we watch this? These comments from Trudeau. And at one point, and you may have heard that, I think Clay and Buck had this yesterday. No, maybe it was Fox News. I think it was on my way home in Fox News. And at one point, Trudeau says, "Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out, even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do," he says. And if you heard that, you listened to it, you know what struck me? Fear. Fear. They are absolutely fearful. So we are gonna punch up, these tariffs now against the United States, to which the president's reaction is, okay, then if you're going to do additional tariffs, we will do reciprocal tariffs on top of that. And it's fear. I mean, Canada is just fearful of what the United States, at least their prime minister is fearful of what America is doing and Donald Trump is doing. And it just, man, I thought it was obvious. I thought it was, at least it seemed obvious to me. So we'll see. Other stories trending this morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi says a truckload of Jeffrey Epstein files have been delivered to her after she ordered the FBI to turn over everything that they have. Remember, she was angry last week with the information that she had received that was like, I think, less than 200 documents. And so a source within the department told her the FBI was hiding thousands more pages of files relating to Epstein's laundry list of crimes. And she said she wanted them all turned over by 8 a.m. Friday. She got them. This story is still trending as of this morning. And then you've got this, the head of the FBI in New York, who has been forced to resign after Daily Mail says several acts of defiance against the new Trump administration. This is a veteran FBI agent, James Dennehy, told his colleagues to dig in against the president's efforts to purge prosecutors who investigated and pursued January 6 defendants. And he backed the leaders at the Bureau who refused to turn over the names of anybody who investigated the 2021 attack on the Capitol. So just don't, defy them, don't participate, don't give them what they want. And Dennehy then also made Attorney General Pam Bondi angry after, again, she had said she was very concerned about the Jeffrey Epstein files that she had received. And so there's immediate pushback. So he sent an email to colleagues that was seen by the New York Times. He revealed he was told late on Friday he must turn in his resignation. Late Friday, I was informed I needed to put in my retirement papers, which I did. I was not given a reason for this decision. Do you need one? Seriously, you are absolutely, not following instructions, not doing what you're told, fighting back, stubborn. You need to be told why you've been asked to turn in your resignation. This is how crazy things are out there. It's just absolutely incredible. Also, the European Union has a new plan to spend $840 billion more on its own defense after the president had paused aid to Ukraine and the peace negotiations hit a wall. That's all back on track at this point. So everything is back on track. But Europe then considering an $840 billion plan in order to rearm Europe. Okay, let's see what else is trending. The Supreme Court yesterday appears ready to block the Mexican government's effort to hold U.S. gun companies accountable for the violence that Mexico has experienced at the hands of drug cartels that are armed with firearms that are trafficked across the southern border. So this marks the first time that the Supreme Court will consider a federal law known as the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And this was actually passed by Congress, bipartisan bill, passed in 2005, provides a legal shield for gun companies from civil suits. They're trying to hold them liable for harm then stemming from the criminal misuse of their products. So you see the leftists in Mexico taking the same kind of approach that the leftists in this country do when it comes to firearms. You blame the firearm, not the people who are wielding it. Also, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has reinstated the name of Fort Benning on Monday, one of the nation's largest military bases. So he has, had been renamed in 2023 as Fort Moore. And now Hegseth is reinstating the name of Fort Benning. And David Moore, who is the son of the couple who helped lead the effort to rename the post after his parents, said, "My only conclusion is that Hegseth chose to reject Hal and Julia Moore. I don't think that's the case. Why are we renaming all of these military bases?" I think that's been a frustration for a lot of folks. How can you remember the past if you keep erasing the past? I don't think you can. Also, Europe reacted with outrage yesterday after Vice President J.D. Vance dismissed other nations' offers to send peacekeeping troops to post-war Ukraine And in an interview with Fox News, Vance said giving the U.S. an economic stake in Ukraine would be a way better security guarantee than 20,000 troops from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 or 40 years. So that comment got folks over in the UK upset and angry. Also, a Hong Kong-based conglomerate has agreed to sell its controlling stake in gets a little convoluted. It's a subsidiary that operates ports near the Panama Canal. So BlackRock has struck a deal that will bring these ports on both sides of the Panama Canal under American control, which is something that the president has talked about. So the ports now in Panama will effectively be under American control, with BlackRock signing that deal. And we'll leave it there this morning. That's a look at the stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Okay, it's 6:57. Cloudy skies in 20 currently. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center, and I'll tell you what headlines he'll be covering coming up here in just a few moments. Thank you, my friend, for being here for the 6 a.m. hour. Please come back at 9:30 for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, and I'll see you then. Take care. Have a great Wednesday.
Mark's Body Shop. In any collision, it's an easy decision.